Because nothing you want will come from the inconsistencies of your actions. And just like I ran this morning, and just like I did all last week, I realized that there's a formula to this. And simply finding gratitude in my green smoothie this morning and saying, you are consistent. You will show up. People can depend on you. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I am your host, Araujo, and today's topic is too much past and too much future. And I'll tell you why this revelation came to me this week. And it's an incident that happened on Sunday, but I still felt the remnants of it this morning. Today's run called for a controlled run in zone 2. Heart rate training, right? I want to make sure that I'm able to keep my breathing in control, keep my heart rate in control for whatever the task at hand is. And we simply had to do I believe it was a 36-minute run in zone 2. And the goal was to, run at a 9.5-minute mile pace. So zone 2, 9.5-minute mile. And I was having a lot of difficulty, like controlling my heart rate. And it felt like I was just, there was too much going on in my mind. There was just a lot of thoughts. And I found myself that I was thinking too much of what could have been, right? A tragic event that could have gone wrong, or something that could have gone wrong but didn't. And I think we've all experienced something similar, right? Where we were this close of it being something just horrible that goes down. And for example, I was just stuck in that mindset. I was stuck in that mindset of what could have happened. And and I'll describe what initially happened, but I found myself still in that thought process, so much so that my heart started beating a lot faster. I started getting even a little bit emotional about the whole process, right? And when I look at my watch to see where I'm at, I'm like going way above where I'm typically at. I'm very controlled when I run. I'm very in the moment, and I can, bring down my heart rate. But today I just had a hard time. And I'm here trying to analyze like what exactly occurred and why I felt this way. And, I think we all face these challenges, right? Where everything seems to be going good and then something kind of just hits you or realigns you, and all of a sudden it's away from our norm. So there's going to be a little bit of a spike, right? A spike in anxiety, a spike in anger, a spike in even depression, or just all these feelings that we seem to take on as humans. So yesterday, we went out to Day of the Lake, and I got to tell you, we had a blast. We went, it was Carla and I and the girls, and they took a couple of friends. And we were out there, and we had a great time. They were out there riding the jet skis. Carla and I were just hanging out by the tent, and I was going in and out as well, driving 65 miles an hour. It was just so exhilarating, right? And we like to get there early. We like to enjoy the morning weather. And then it starts getting a little hot around 11:30, 12. So that's about what time we tend to wrap up. So 3 to 4 hours by the lake is more than enough for us. And so we pack up, and we have a whole routine now. Our routine is really good. I know how to back up my trailer now without, feeling that worry or anxiety of backing it up and having people watch me. So I feel pretty good. So we wrap up. We go, and we're driving home. And our routine after that is to go by the car wash after we get home. We're going to grab something to eat, and then we're going to go back to the car wash and to clean our jet skis. And so we do that. So we go home, and we unload everything. And yesterday we take Chaco and Boy, which are my Labradoodles, and these guys have been a blessing to our household. I mean, they bring joy whenever we're home, from a tense day at work or feeling a little off our game. They're there. They're relentless, right, in their ability just to give love. It doesn't matter what mood you're in. They're going to give you that love. They're going to give you that attention. They're going to be excited about seeing you. So we go inside, and we forget the dogs in the car. So we have this beautiful day, and we're all, we get out of the car, we go into the house, we're about to eat, and we forget the dogs. And in Arizona, that's deadly. In Arizona, 115 degrees weather outside means like 140 inside of a car. And Carla says, "Where are the dogs?" And I look around, I don't see them. Carla immediately just runs outside, opens the garage, and runs to our car outside. And she opens the car, and yes, the dogs are okay, right? They jump out. They're a little exhausted, but they're fine. But just the thought of what could have happened, right? I think that's where we get thrown off of our daily routines of what could have happened. And it's the way we also react to those problems. And yesterday I wasn't proud of how I reacted. I was angry. I was blaming right away. And whoever was near. I blame my 15-year-old daughter. I'm like, how come you guys don't pay attention? When it's my responsibility, really. I decided to bring the dogs, but here's my 15-year-old daughter just enjoying her food, and I'm just angry. I'm angry, and I'm looking at Carla like, how come you didn't remember? And how come you? And I looked to my daughter, how come you didn't remember? I called my other daughter, my 11-year-old, from the room, and I said, look what happened. What could have happened? And I start saying things like, you guys have to be more responsible. And I'm making like this angry situation, this bad situation, which really wasn't. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The dogs were in there for a few minutes. They were fine. But yet the remnants of what could have happened started like festering inside of me. So there was this immediate anger. And my daughter's looking at me like, how is this my fault, Dad? And there really wasn't. But I'm trying to now back up my reaction, saying, hey, listen, like it's your responsibility because you were in the back seat. You should have known. And here I am. So having this great day, we forgot our dogs, but nothing happened. But yet, it's how we react after the anger that really knocks us off our game. And so much so that even this morning, I'm thinking about what could have happened when in reality, nothing happened. And when we don't look to confront these emotions, right? Because it could have been tragic. I've had dear friends of mine that's happened to them, and it's tragic. It's sad. You hear about this on the news with babies. It's an unfortunate situation. And our role in all this is to realize that nothing did happen. And if it would have happened, is how do we overcome this, right? Because in reality, it was all our faults. In reality, it was my fault. I should have known. So as I was running this morning, I felt my heart rate beating up. But this time it wasn't about anger. Because anytime you get angry, there's a couple other things that occur immediately after anger. And that is shame. Embarrassment, right? Shame. And that's how I felt this morning. It wasn't necessarily the anger anymore, because I felt that initially yesterday. It was the way I reacted after that anger, making things worse. Right? Chastising my child, trying to punish them when nothing happened. So it's this shame part that I was like almost loathing in or bathing in, right? Wallowing in. When in fact, I was embarrassed. I am embarrassed about how I reacted after a great day. It's almost like I chopped the legs from under a great day. Maybe feeling too good. Why was feeling too good a problem for me yesterday? That I had to react in a certain way. And after shame is that guilt. Like I shouldn't have done that. There was other ways to be able to respond to that. I should have never spoken to my daughters this way. And this is the conversation that I had with them this morning and late last night about how, sometimes I do react in ways that I'm not proud of. And I would try to remind them that, hey, listen, we had a great day yesterday. And being able to dial it in and have those crucial conversations is required. Because what ends up happening, it lingers even more because I didn't have that truthful conversation. I didn't process it myself. I was still feeling it this morning. And I remember talking to one of our agents last week. And the conversation was about the feeling of feeling good or feeling great, right? About how that used to be a process that wasn't necessarily a daily thing. Because I was oftentimes too caught up on the things that I should have done, my past, the decisions I made, the things that went wrong, of what could have been. Or I was stuck too much in the future about how things should be, of am I ever going to get what I work for? Am I ever going to find that fulfillment aspect of life? Am I ever going to find my purpose? So it was never this place of being present, right? And I like what Eckhart Tolle wrote. And this is a book that I read a few years ago, and it's called The Power of Now. And I want you to listen very, very carefully to this because I think it's going to resonate with you deeply. And he goes on to write, all negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future. So let me read that part again. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, and worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. So as you start looking at your trajectory of your business or the satisfaction you find in your life, if there is too much thinking about the future, too much thinking about the past, it's hard to really feel happy and fulfilled. And again, back to this conversation I was having with the agent, I remember I was always in that place. I was never here. I was never right here, right now. And my thoughts were I'm never going to grow this business the way I think I should. I never will get to this place financially of where I feel secure. And I was always discontent about my career, comparing my results to others, worried about my future, right? Anxious about my inability to afford certain things, angry with my results, depressed about my failures. And as we start thinking about where we're at fulfillment-wise, right? And how the satisfaction of our lives, sometimes it's a thing that we lack. It has all to do with the mindset of where we're at right now. Because of the thing that happened yesterday and the way I reacted yesterday, it was still taking a hold of me this morning. And just imagine all those worries on a consistent basis taking on you every day throughout the day. You're not going to feel as powerful. You're not going to feel as strong moving forward. And it's not necessarily the skill sets that are holding you back from being at a financial state you'd like to be in, but rather the thoughts that we constantly have of our past or our future. It increases that anxiety, right? It magnifies that depression. And we have to think about what is it and how can we overcome this? Because we could attach to anger and keep it with us, not just 12 hours later, but maybe 12 weeks later. We were constantly thinking of what could have happened, get saddened by the situation. And as business owners, we have to understand where we're at on the presence on a daily, because everything relies on you and only you. Your ability to create depends on your actions directly. Your ability to fulfill comes down to your decisions on a daily. But if they're clouded by the things we're angry or shameful about, or worried, anxious, tense about what could happen, we end up going nowhere. And nowhere creates that misery that festers within. As we start analyzing our days, we have to really look at, where are we at? Are we living too much in the past? Right? Where we're feeling guilt and regret, resentment? Or maybe too much in the future, unease, anxiety, and tension. So the reason I bring this up is because awareness and mindfulness is key to your growth and expansion. It's those ugly fights that linger on, that throw you off your game. It's the things that could have happened but didn't, but caught up on the fact that it could have happened, is what keeps you from growing exponentially. It's about the regret of the decisions that were made. It's the shame and the guilt of the things that happened or the decisions we made. Not necessarily the skill sets or the targets that we set forth, but it's the things outside of that. And there was a quote here in the Bible that I like, because I think it ties right into this. And it was Ephesians 4:26. It says, "Be angry, and yet do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger." And again, my interpretation of sin, right, is temptation, mediocrity, and complacency. Blowing out, getting angry, yelling at those you love. That's the easy way out of any situation. Being able to be present and grateful that nothing occurred, that nothing truly did happen, that's the hard part. And we see this all the time. Anytime there's an accident, right? There's individuals, at least I've witnessed this, where they're just so worried about their car. They're angry at the other driver for what happened, because they're reacting to their day, right? When in fact, when they become present and grateful, they can realize they're alive. They're here. My dogs are alive. They're here. But it's these thoughts of the future and the past that keep us away from that. That's where the misery festers. Because life is good. Your life is good. But it's these thoughts that make it a hard place to be. So as we start thinking about where we're at and being mindful of our own personal happiness, find out where your mind is at. And maybe you are regretting decisions that were made in the past. Or maybe you're worried too much about what the future brings. But this place of presence is what will ultimately give you the happiness you're seeking. Now, how do you get there? If you're in a place where you're constantly thinking about the future, how do you get to appreciating the present? Or if you're angry or upset about decisions or things that were done in the past, how do you get there of being present? Well, I'm going to tell you, and I think we have the formula here, and it's something that many of you have practiced. And now you find yourself more moments of happiness rather than chaos and dysfunction. I remember thinking when things went too good, something bad was going to happen. And maybe me forgetting about my dogs being in the back of my car was I hit my tolerance level, because things are going really good. We unveiled a new website and CRM for all our agents that's just going to change the way they operate their business moving forward, the way we position ourselves in the marketplace. We had a great weekend spent the day at the lake. Maybe that was too much for me. I don't know. But I think many of us expect something bad to happen when things are too good. And it took many years of doing the small things every day to realize that I need to expect good things in my life. That's how my life should be on a daily. It should be free from chaos and dysfunction. It should be a rarity. And I would say that that is the case. Even though yesterday could have been tragic, it's few and far between. Me forgetting something like that is few and far between. When before, it was all the time. Things were constantly happening in my life. There was always problems I needed to overcome. There was always things I was angry about. In a way, I could be upset, and I can continue to be upset. But I'm realizing like my life is good, it's fulfilled. I'm happy most of the time. And when something like this happens, it's so few and far between. And I'll tell you how I did that. And many of you are living that right now. It's a simple process that I learned from my coach. I've been able to personalize it and teach it here within our organization. I first brought it to you under the Core 4 mainframe. Now we call it the Prime 3. And it's a simple process that you can do, that you can invest in to make sure that your life is more on the happy side most of the time. And when something like this happens, you're able to overcome quicker. Because I can only imagine this type of stress many years ago. It would have caused a blowout in my household. I would have said even unforgivable things. I would have probably scarred my daughters permanently, psychologically. But now I can see where I'm at, and I can control the next steps. I can see the ills of my ways and make them right. You have that ability as well. And we all have responsibility. And part of that responsibility is what we practice here with the Prime 3. These revelations wouldn't come to me if I wasn't constantly challenging myself and opening up my mind and new perspectives, being mindful, being consistent. Because nothing you want will come from the inconsistencies of your actions. And just like I ran this morning, and just like I did all last week, I realized that there's a formula to this. And simply finding gratitude in my green smoothie this morning and saying, you are consistent. You will show up. People can depend on you. A green smoothie made me appreciate who I am. Because it showcases my commitment. And I do it every day in and day out. So as we start looking at the Prime 3, we got to start thinking about how is it can we take on this duress and stress that comes our way on a daily? Because if we don't learn how to handle these pressures, I could have easily made yesterday's situation a whole lot worse. And I'm not saying I was a maniac. I'm saying I didn't like the way my tone was. And that's all it was. Before, it would have been like just a blowout. Yesterday, my tone wasn't in the manner it should have been. But that's growth. Because I'm not a pressure cooker. Because I'm able to release the stress and duress what running a business has on us. The pressures of a marriage, the responsibilities of being a dad and a parent. I got to be able to offset that and not just take it all on. I found that working out every day, putting my power deposit in, making sure I can just create a little bit of space there. Because that little bit of space, when something goes wrong, I have the capacity. But if there's zero space and something goes wrong, you blow your top. You start yelling. So what does a power deposit mean? It means your capacity is here and you create space by decreasing the pressures of life. That little bit of space is all you need to make sure you can handle your family properly, your business in power. And that's what gives you the advantage and fulfillment in life. But no space, no chance. Then we look at a purpose deposit. Learning, being mindful, you being on this call, increasing your perspective, allows you to challenge yourself to become a better person. Self-development is the foundation of what I do. I've become a better dad because of that, a better husband. I'm a badass business owner because of those insights of how to control emotion, about how to see something greater for myself, about being present and loving what life has brought me. But if I spend my time reacting and not learning, again, no chance. You're going to be on edge on a daily, like I was. And finally, a profits deposit. It's easy to complain about the market. It's easy to complain about leads not coming in, being depressed about it. Almost like finding a crutch of not knowing as a valid excuse. As a sole proprietor, as a small enterprise, which you are, it is your responsibility to learn about marketing and sales and systems. Now, we just implemented this website and CRM. It's your job to utilize it now so you can sustain and build, not continue just to hustle and hope. And that's what the game is all about. And I'm going to encourage you to pick up one of these books here. We have 6 months, less than 6 months left to 2020. And I am committed to making it this best year ever. And mark my words, this year is going down in the books. Regardless of what happens outside of me, I am in control. I know where I'm going. Because of my green smoothie every morning. And because of my commitments to the Prime 3. We're all going to have little setbacks. But it's how fast we can bounce back. Being aware, being present, being consistent will get you there faster. So I want to thank you for joining me today. And I hope that, your story, that my story is able to resonate with your story. Because it's never about our inability. It's always about the things that happen outside of that. I'm just happy that nothing did happen. I got to work on how I react sometimes, but it's much better than how I used to. And my ability to come back and make things right. Now I got to leave the past in the past and move forward powerfully. I got things to do. So good morning, Celia, Michelle. Good morning to you, Teresa, Beatrice, Nick, Patrick, JJ, Raquel. Good morning, Vivian, Dominique, Roger. And what are you guys hearing in this conversation? Is there anything that resonates with you? Fred, Olivia, Isela, Bobby, Claudia, I want to thank you all for joining me. Gabe, Patrick, yes, you overcame that trailer challenge. Carmela, Kim, Jermaine, self-sabotage. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. Audra, Caroline, Ruth, accept the responsibility, learn from the mistake, and create a system so it doesn't happen again. Blame doesn't fix the issue or reverse what happened. Grow and keep moving forward. Those are powerful words, Ruth, and that's exactly where I was at, and we did come up with the system of how to be able to make sure we're never in that situation again. I could only imagine what would have happened, and I like I said this morning, it wasn't necessarily of the anger anymore. It was like the guilt, right? The shame was yesterday was the anger and the shame, but this morning was the guilt. Like I could have been a little bit more controlled, and although it was much better than what it used to be, I disappointed myself a little bit. I could have been more in control because my energy throughout the day was still kind of heavy, and I control the mood in the household, and you control the mood in the household. And that's what bothered me this morning was just the shame aspect of it. Right on, AZ, this message was on point. We need to hit the reset button each night to get the right mindset ready for the next day. Don't take out your frustration and anger on the wrong person. It can emotionally scar them. Absolutely. Fred, I'm guilty as charged. And, this is not about us feeling bad about how we reacted. It's about making things right now. It's being aware of it because this situation is going to happen again. And if we make the same mistake we made today, then there is zero growth. And we're all in a situation where we say things we regret later on. Or we do things, right, that make the situation worse. And just like Ephesians 4:26, be angry and yet do not sin. Don't make it worse. It's okay to be angry. It's an emotion we all have. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, which means make things right. Have those crucial conversations regardless of what happened because it's been done. You have to decide on what's next. I'm a rhinoceros is my mantra again. Love it. Like you said, we will continue to go through things, but how long we stay in that dark place makes a difference. And I hope that you're able to take this conversation and move forward powerfully and maybe consider that something as simple as a green smoothie, something as simple as working out, being mindful of what you consume mentally, right, for your mindset and for your business, that it'll change the outcomes of your future. I've seen this time and time again work. And if you look at what our top producers do, it's exactly what we have written here. It's a formula and a recipe that's meant for you to succeed. And here's the beautiful thing about it, that we're constantly talking about it. And it's not something that, that will just take 1 week for you to see the results. It's a lifetime commitment. And I've been on this game here 6 years. 6 years. And I'm still learning. And I'm still a student of life. That's what fires me up. Well, guys, I want to thank you again for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.